Hey y'all, Erin here, and today I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, books, and what I've been reading this past year. So here are my 2021 books. So a little bit of stats for you, as I read 13 nonfiction and 10 fiction, so that's 23 total. I read 6 mama-focused books, 2 homeschool, 2 Bible study, 1 marriage, 1 health, and 1 finance. All right, without further ado, here we go. First book I'm going to talk about is The 40-Day Social Media Fast by Wendy Speak. And this was my first book of the year, and I'm glad I read this one because it's just kind of getting my mind ready. I did end up giving up social media for Lent. I'm glad I did that, and I'll probably every once in a while fast from social media because I think it's kind of healthy. Next book is Know Yourself, Know Your Money by Rachel Cruz. I think in previous videos you've heard me talk about we mostly follow the Dave Ramsey plan, so she's in that kind of system. I like this book a lot. Talks about kind of knowing why you do the things that you do, and then also learning to be content with what you do have. So this book was good. Next, I read The Fruitful Life by Jerry Bridges, and I've read books by him before, so I do like his writing style. I like this topic a lot. I read this to supplement. I was leading a Bible study on the fruit of the Spirit, so I thought this book was very well written and a very good topic. I enjoyed it a lot. The next one was Highly Happy Marriages by Shanti Feldman, and you've probably, if you've seen my videos before, I have read her books. I like her a lot. She is a researcher, and I like that she has so much statistics to back up everything that she says. The overall point that I love from this book was that you could do one small thing and that can make a big difference in your marriage. That was very encouraging to me. The next book was Ancient Remedies by Dr. Josh Axe. Very insightful. If you don't feel like reading this huge book, it is good. I do recommend it. But if you don't feel like reading this book, he has an Instagram page that's got chock full of information and good tidbits. So he's a good follow. The next book, you're gonna see the start of a trend, and this is Triggers. This was written by Amber Leah and Wendy Speak, and just before I had kids, I felt like I was a really calm, easygoing person, and with 3 little ones, I don't like this word triggers, but I feel triggered more easily. So working on recognizing those triggers and what I need to do to when I'm feeling those feelings. The next book is Unglued by Lisa Turkis. I love this author. I've read so many of her books. They're so good, and it's nice to see that well-known Christian speakers and authors deal with these things too, but she has some really great points. Obviously, she's always going to point things back to God, so very good book. The next 2 I'm going to talk about together, The New Stronghold Child, Endeared Discipline by Dr. James Dobson. I like Dr. Dobson's books a lot. I like his philosophies a lot. They are helpful because I think it does take courage to discipline. For our particular family, some of these things don't necessarily work per se, but I do have, I think, 3 strong-willed children, and I have seen into the future, and I know they're going to be a great benefit to have that strong will. Just sometimes as a mom of 3 little ones, it gets very overwhelming sometimes dealing with that strong will. So myself trying to learn the best methods to work through those things. The next book is For the Children's Sake. And this book actually came with my Father's World kindergarten curriculum. It's relatively short, but I will be honest with you, it's not necessarily a page turner. Very good information. I do feel like I relate a lot with the Charlotte Mason style of homeschool, but like I said, it's not quite a page turner. Very good though. The next book is called The Call of the Wild and Free. This is another homeschool book. This book is very good because one of the things she does is she talks a lot about the myth of homeschooling. So I like that she tackles that subject. She also tackles the subject of going over the different styles, because homeschool is like this huge spectrum, all the way to classical to unschooling. So she kind of covers all those different topics, and that's kind of informative and helpful. And she covers just so many different things. Just really talks a lot about, the benefits of nature, learning outside. I really liked it. It was very insightful, very good book. The next one I read is Satisfy My Thirsty Soul by Linda Dillo. I love Linda Dillo. I have read a few of her other books, and I think they're all great. A little surprising to me, her answer is quite simple. How to satisfy your thirsty soul. It's obviously Jesus, and then worship. And we are created to worship, and we're created to be in that constant communication with the Lord. So, very good book. I think we do need to be constantly in the Bible, worshiping and praying, but also reading books like this that supplement our walk with the Lord. And the last nonfiction book I read was The Explosive Child. And this book kind of has, a little bit of an intimidating title. I do feel like this book was, out of all of the parenting books, was kind of the most helpful for me. One of the most helpful things that he says in this book is that if they could, they wouldn't explode. And so when I see that situation now, I see that as, okay, if they had the tools or the capability or the ability not to explode, they wouldn't have done it. So it helps me to have a lot of empathy. I would say this book has really just helped me so much with empathy. That's the biggest thing. Empathy. And if you are in that situation where you have maybe a explosive or highly emotional or sensitive child, I think that book would be helpful for you. I'm there with you. I'm in the boat with you, so you're not alone. All right, now I'm going to talk about my fiction books I read. The first one I read was Summer Sisters by Judy Blume, and I picked this one up at the free library in my neighborhood, and it was a good book, but I will go ahead and say it wasn't necessarily something I'd probably spend my own money on. The next two were The Writing Desk and The Love Letter by Rachel Hawk, and she is a Christian fiction writer. She has a unique style where she goes back and forth with the past and the present and intertwining stories, and it's so good. It's kind of like just a mystery, trying to see how the past and the present fit together, and she's got some really wonderful themes in there too. So both of these books were really good. And the next one was Bridge to Haven by Francine Rivers, and a fantastic book. This main character, she just kept making bad decision after bad decision, and you're like, oh, come on, girl, get it together. But it did have a good ending, and she's a Christian fiction writer too, so it's often like our own lives where we make mistakes, and I wonder if God's saying, come on, girl, get it together. But I love the message of this book. Very good. And then this was my Judith McNaught stack. And this shows you how much I love this author and these books. So I've had these books probably for over 10 years, probably 12 to 15 years. They've been on my bookshelf. They've gone all over with me. And this is why I keep my books, because you can read them again. Because it's been so long, some of the details were a little fuzzy. I remembered the story, but I didn't remember all the details. And so, as you saw with some of my nonfiction books, I just needed a little mental break. And these books were definitely that. And so one day I went to my bookshelf, and this is the first one I pulled off, Almost Heaven by Judith McNaught. And it was so good. It just really epic tale, transporting you to like this different time period and different place, and these big characters and big romantic gestures. And so this was the first one I read. So good. And then the next one I read was Until You. This one was a historical one. Remember When. This was a more modern tale. Good story. Night Whispers, I really enjoyed this one. This one, the main character was a police officer, so I appreciated that. This one out of all of them was probably my favorite. There was 2 stories going on parallel to each other, and I almost couldn't tell which one I liked more. They were both so good, just these memorable characters. And this one it just really felt like this big epic like movie in my brain going on. Action, murder mystery, drama, suspense, love, of course. Just, it had everything in it. It was so good. And then I'm pretty sure I had this one, but I couldn't find it. So this was A Kingdom of Dreams. This was a historical one. I remember after reading the other ones, I remembered this one. I really wanted to read it, so I did go ahead and buy this one again because I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere. But it was so good. Again, transports you to Scotland and England and horseback riding and knights and all this fun stuff. So this was the last book that I read, December 2021, and it was a good one to finish off the year. And I have a few more of her books somewhere, but I love all of Judith McNaught books. They're so good. I definitely recommend them. So last year I did my top 3 books, and I felt like it was almost easier last year. This year I really had to think about it, and it kind of depends what you're looking for. But I say for me, my 3 favorite books from this past year were probably fiction, and it was probably the 2 Rachel Hawk books, The Writing Desk and The Love Letter, and then also A Bridge to Haven by Francine Rivers. Those stick in my mind as my favorites. They were the best stories, and I'm definitely going to be reading more books by them this upcoming year, and I think they are great writers. I love to support them. So those are probably my top 3 this year. For my reading goals for the upcoming year, nothing too major. Really, it's just to keep reading, just to continue my love of reading. And I don't have like a set number or a specific type of books to read, just kind of, it's probably going to be, I'm always going to be interested in those mothering and homeschooling and marriage and fitness and health and money. Those things tend to be what I'm interested in reading. But this year also reinvigorated my love of fiction, so I know I'm going to keep doing that. I already have my book stack ready. Oh, it's huge and heavy. So this is the book stack for this upcoming year, and I've already started reading Finding Her and Your Husband. We're going to be reading this for my Bible study this spring. It's really good already. Rich Dad Poor Dad, I started reading that, I just haven't finished it yet. It's very interesting. Then I've got 2 more Rachel Hawk books and another Francine Rivers books already ready to go. And so if you had any books that you read this year, fiction or nonfiction, that you would recommend for me to read, let me know down in the comments. And if you read any of the books that I read and you maybe had a different opinion, I'm curious to know what you thought about them. And with that, I'm gonna say goodbye for now and see you next time. And thanks for watching. Bye. Wow, it's 6:51. Ooh, we gotta do bath time soon. Okay. Hey y'all, Erin here, and today I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite things, books, and what I've